I'm in London at the Breakthrough Energy Summit. We've got over 100 amazing companies that are showing how they can use innovation to reduce greenhouse gases. The summit brings together innovative small companies, government policymakers, investors, and they're talking about partnerships to take these technologies and scale them up. We're showing a path to get to net zero in transport, electricity, industry, agriculture, and buildings. So each room you go into, you'll see companies which are just mind-blowing in terms of what they're doing. And we're going to support those companies to have huge impact.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. maanta waa arkaysaan bakaaraha ka jiro iyo xaaladda sida tahay aadanaha daciifka weeyaa balfiiri maryaxaan maanta xaaladana ka jirto yani biyihii nicmka ilaahay waxaan ilaahay ka baryana in xaaladda dhibaato aysan ka dhalan cudurro aysan ka dhalan bal nala arka xaaladda maanta lagu jiro guriyihii oo dhan waa kaasa xaalkaas ay marayaan meel la maraayo ma jirto marka daciifaana ilaahay aan ku maxdino ilaahay subxaana wa tacaala aan weydiisano dambi dhaaf dhammaan waa idin salaamaya maalin wanaagsan.
Don't you see? Sufferation gripping we. Families breaking under stress. Over taxation, it's a mess. Reject, reject, reject the bill. Reject, reject, reject the bill. No one trying with your will. Or we gonna stand still. We shouting loud as the days go by.
Ahmed Uzoea! Ahmed Uzoea! Uzoea! Ahmed Uzoea! Zaka!
Cannot believe in two-state solutions and only recognize one. I'm reminded that the great Bob Hawke once said in his op-ed in 2017 that it is the least we can do now in these most challenging of times is to do what 137 other nations have already done, and that's grant diplomatic recognition to the state of Palestine. I ponder how the party icons like him, like Gough Whitlam, like Paul Keating, can justify its current position. Should we not be true to their legacy? I was not elected as a token representative of diversity. I was elected to serve the people of Western Australia and uphold the values instilled in me by my late father. Today I have made a decision that would make him proud and make everyone proud who are on the side of humanity.
What stage does it become too late in your view?
I honestly don't know it. What I know is when we get to that point, the two-state solution will be resurrected. It's like the kings and queens of England, you know. The peace process is dead, long live the peace process. It keeps on coming back.
Garda Kami, do you agree with Martin Indyk that it can't be too late because the two-state solution will simply be resurrected when the time is right?
There is no possibility of two states for a very simple reason, that the land, the territory that would be needed for a Palestinian state hardly exists. It's full of Israeli settlements. But secondly, without the United States being able to use any kind of pressure on Israel, there will be no two-state solution. There'll be nothing. And the truth is that the US is unable to pressure Israel. It's not unwilling, it's unable. Today, Israel is a one state. It rules another people, it occupies them in one state. But the problem with that one state is it's an apartheid state. One side has rights, the other has none. So the issue really is not having two states, the issue is converting this apartheid situation into one of equity and equal democratic rights and no apartheid. That's the thing before us.
Right now, the most interesting thing happening is Bitcoin. It's probably the most interesting intellectual development on the internet in the last 5 years. A lot of people have heard about Bitcoin but not really understand it. So you think, okay, it's some online currency, what's the big deal? There's, you can have a PayPal account, that's kind of like an online currency, or even your Visa card. Well, actually all the processing occurs online. Isn't that really like an online currency? Or you can buy gold, that's kind of like an online currency. But Bitcoin is different because it is a currency that cryptographically backed multi-jurisdictional, which means that it's very hard for any one power group in any particular jurisdiction to start turning it into a rent-seeking apparatus. The underlying technology of Bitcoin is cryptography on the one hand, and the ability for cryptography to create situations that can defend itself or the people who use it against even the full might of a superpower. You know, a full might of a superpower doesn't help you smash a mass problem. A mass problem is a mass problem, and it's something that is connected to the existence of intelligence in the universe or basic physics. It's not something you can get at simply through overwhelming coercive power or lots of people. And the other underlying basic technology is proof of publication at a particular time. And we've never really had that. In the digital world, we can delete history extremely easily, and history, even without an attempt to delete it, starts disappearing as a result of startup companies going under or particular bits of history not becoming profitable anymore. And that notion of being able to disappear history entered into Orwell's writing, and you can look at what is, I think, his most substantive intellectual comment, which is he who controls the present controls the past, he who controls the past controls the future. And it's this notion that the past as an archive, as a history of our civilization, as a history of development, is in fact present right now in something physically contained in the library, in computer servers, in human beings' heads. That history doesn't exist except remnants that exist in the present. And so if you can get at these remnants, you can make particular inconvenient parts of history disappear and amplify others. Yes. Bitcoin, in its underlying technology, breaks Orwell's dictum. It breaks Orwell's dictum by providing proof of publishing at a certain time. And that is the intellectual underpinning of that whole system and can be used for lots and lots of other things. And so that's the big expansion we're about to see in Bitcoin. All derives from this basic premise that you can prove that a particular statement, a particular consensus, a particular contract happened at a particular time globally, and it requires the subversion of every single jurisdiction where people are running Bitcoin to overturn that.
I made a visit to the site of Jesus' baptism today on the eastern bank of the River Jordan and learned something truly shocking. Since the 1960s, Israel's national water carrier has been diverting water from the Sea of Galilee in the north to the arid regions in southern Israel. The river's water flow has reduced from 1.3 billion cubic meters to just 20 million at present, less than 2% of what it used to be. This reduction has destroyed the river's ecosystem, degraded the environment, shattered biodiversity, and shrunk the Dead Sea, which is fed by the Jordan River. When I arrived at the site where Jesus was baptized, this is what I found. It's a puddle. If Jesus were alive today, there's no way he could be baptized here. Apart from this, the drying of the river has contributed to Jordan being one of the most water-scarce countries in the world. With Jordan's natural recharge of groundwater aquifers depleted and a reduction in rainfall due to climate change, it's questionable whether there will be enough for basic survival in the coming decades. In fact, Jordan is now dependent on importing water from Israel to meet its needs. The final thing I found alarming about the visit is that the land on the other side of the river is Palestine, but stationed across the water is a massive building hosting the Israeli flag. For some reason, the onlookers on the other side seemed intent on recording me as I looked across the water. Apart from this, there are some beautiful old churches at the site if you're interested in this kind of thing. Thanks for listening.
How did Israel gain so much power over the United States? It comes in 4 parts. Level 1, bribery, creating the mega donors. Level 2, blackmail. Level 3, the media. And level 4, the origin. Let's start with the bribe. They created the largest self-licking ice cream cone. In short, U.S. foreign aid to Israel, which is always in the billions, is split into two. One part is earmarked for U.S. defense industries, making the MIC happy. The other part goes to benefiting the commercial interests of a select cabal of extremely wealthy state leeches. This creates a donor class. The donor class then lobbies directly or finances professional lobbies like AIPAC to bribe Congress to do Israel's bidding. Their first demand is always to send more money. If a congressman gets out of line, they will finance their opponent. 97% of AIPAC-approved candidates win. The United States is subsidizing its own subversion by a foreign state. Israeli bribes come from the American taxpayers. The entire gambit relies on foreign aid and an unregistered lobby. If the U.S. would end aid to Israel, the entire cycle stops. Why did the aid start? To keep the Suez and the Red Sea away from the USSR. But our greatest allies spied on the United States, stealing the signal intelligence and first strike plans, and gave them to the Soviet Union in exchange for Jewish diaspora to move to Israel. This is why years ago I realized U.S. foreign aid is at the root of everything that sustains their power. End all aid to Israel.